Many people take great pleasure in reading dystopian novels about the future. They often reveal a great deal about the anxieties of the time in which they were written. Two of the most famous examples in British literature are George Orwell's 1984 and Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. In the novel 1984, George Orwell wrote about a society in which the government takes charge of every aspect of people's lives through propaganda, surveillance and violence. Orwell was writing in the years immediately after the Second World War and at the start of the Cold War, and the politics and fears of the time clearly shaped his narrative. Although it was published in 1948, for many contemporary readers, Orwell's foresight now seems frighteningly prescient, and many people today would do well to read 1984. It seems that today we take for granted that our every move is monitored by CCTV cameras and GPS tracked by the technology we carry in our pockets. And with every click we make online, our opinions and preferences can be recorded. And it won't come as a shock to know that Orwellian, an adjective to describe a dystopian view of the future in a totalitarian state, is in common usage. And to many, it feels like politics has been taken over by doublethink, defined in 1984 as the power of holding two contradictory beliefs in one's mind simultaneously and accepting both of them. While Huxley's book predates Orwell's by over a decade, their thematic links are strong. However, Huxley's novel has a stronger focus on the use of reproductive technologies and genetic engineering in the future. In his Brave New World, babies are not born, they are cloned, conditioned for their role in society, and decanted from bottles. Unquestionably, this is not our current reality. And Huxley's fears are remarkable considering it wouldn't be until 20 years after he wrote Brave New World that Crick and Watson ushered in the era of genetics with the discovery of the structure of DNA in 1953. And it would be another 50 years after that before the Human Genome Project was completed, unlocking the secret of our genetic makeup and unleashing the potential to manipulate it. But in reality, does this knowledge pose any threat to us now, or could it do any harm in the future? The scientists at the Wellcome Trust Genome Campus near Cambridge are at the cutting edge of this research.
So to build a human body, you need to know what proteins to use, you need to know what processes to activate and when and where in the body. And the DNA both gives the information to build the proteins and contains the information, the programming language, if you like, of when and where to switch those proteins on. So DNA is a very simple molecule in some ways. It consists of a string of bases. We represent those bases by 4 letters, A, C, G, and T.
The Human Genome Project was completed in April 2003. The final reference genome revealed the exact order of A, C, G, T base pairs in the DNA of a human being, and is presented as page after page of text with just these 4 letters.
They have printed it out in a set of books, and it's a bookshelf around 3 feet wide and 6 feet high, and it contains 40 or 50 books of a very large hardback size, so it's a substantial amount of text.
Undoubtedly, this knowledge is powerful, and it puts scientists under a lot of pressure to use it properly. Any manipulation of DNA is an ethical minefield, and people are fearful it might do harm. But for researchers, its possibilities are overwhelmingly positive. And it's already possible to identify and potentially cure many common diseases.
Specifically, we now know that the human genome contains approximately 23,000 genes, of which 5,000 with certainty and more likely up to 10,000 of those genes have been correlated with common diseases such as cardiovascular disease, arthritis, as well as more rare diseases and developmental disorders such as autism. Our understanding of cancer has been revolutionized through the attainment of the reference genome sequence, with at least 400 genes known to be implicated in cancer today.
And while the human genome is being used to develop innovative ways of preventing and curing disease, anxieties about eugenics, the creation of designer babies, animal chimeras, and human cloning are never too far from the public narrative. Genetic engineering is still a recurring theme in the science fiction being written today. But now, more than ever, it's vital that we understand the difference between science fiction and science fact. And we realize that our brave new world of genetic engineering is far from a dystopian nightmare.